Good morning, my friends. It's your old pal PeaceLoveMusic with the Let's Go Morning Show, brought to you by DeOrganized Media in partnership with Bitcoin Live Decentralized Broadcasting. And it is Monday morning, October 28th. And we are in it's a super exciting week in the Stacks ecosystem. There are a ton of things happening. If you have been living under a rock and you aren't aware, Nakamoto update is finally happening tomorrow, and the whole ecosystem is super, super excited about that coming. Friendly reminder, this is a news show. We are not providing financial advice. Always do your own research and never invest more money than you can afford to lose in any investment. With that said, Bitcoin's looking pretty good, holding on to that $68,000 price point, coming in at 68,554 a little while ago, just before broadcast. Stacks is hovering around that $1.77, had dipped down to the low $60s over the weekend. He bounced back to just under a penny under where it was on Friday, and actually has crept up from number 33 to the number 32 position on CoinMarketCap. Fear and Greed holds steady at 54, still in the neutral position. And the top three gainers on CoinMarketCap over the last 24 hours are Nero, and Aave. Stacks calendar for today, Monday the 28th. We have a Hong Kong FinTech Week. That's happening, I think, the next couple of days, or maybe throughout the week. It's from today through Friday. So lots of cool things happening on over there at Hong Kong FinTech Week. You can go to www.fintechweek.hk for more information about what's going on there. And then we have at 10 a.m. today Eastern on X Spaces. You can tune in for the Find to Earn Monday with Skullcoin and meme tokens, with Zenatron and Staxy hosting. It's a super fun way to earn some meme tokens and get some rewards and participate in the Find to Earn gameplay with Skullcoin. It's really neat. They drop a few series of there's usually a few rounds. They drop some coordinates. You got to go into your Google Maps, find the location, and then there's an image that's going to be somewhere localized around those coordinates. You got to go find that image, copy the coordinates, and then drop those in the comments in the space. And if you're the first one to find them, you win an allocation of some Skullcoin or some other meme tokens that are part of the contest. So super fun. I believe at 1 p.m. is Landy's Crypto Corner every Monday at 1 o'clock. At 2 p.m. there is Behind the Stacks Bitcoin DeFi on Stacks Simplified and Amplified. At 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we have DeOrganized Whatever Monday, sponsored by Zero Authority, and that is whatever you want to come on and talk about. We usually don't have guests lined up, although we did have the AIBTC devs come out and chat with us last Monday. It was a great special. But you guys have anything you want to come out and talk about, let us know what's going on for the week. If you have something you want to talk about, a project you're building, or some questions you want to talk about with what we've been covering, come out and hang out with us at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on every Monday, the Organized Whatever Monday. And that is the Stacks calendar for the day. Some interesting things in the news. Over the weekend, it was announced that the World Bank has misplaced an astonishing $41 billion. That's billion dollars with a B. The World Bank has misplaced $41 billion in climate change funds, with billions unaccounted for. $41 billion. Investigators have found no clear public record detailing where the money went or how it was spent. If only there were some immutable blockchain, financial blockchain, where those funds could be tracked and sourced and audited. Maybe we would have a little bit more honest financial system going on in the world. In other news, the BRICS nations met over the weekend, or met last week, playing global power politics. They are taking on the hegemony of the US dollar as the world standard for international trade. I think that there probably is a blockchain solution for that problem too. Also, just so everyone knows, the U.S. election is happening next week. Next Tuesday is the 5th of November. Election is happening, and starting around 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern time, we will be going live on Bitcoin Live with DeOrganized Media to cover with live coverage of the election event. And we'll be streaming all night. It might not be one stream. We might have a series of streams depending on how it goes, and a bunch of guests coming on. And if you're interested in coming on and chatting with us during that live event, let us know. We have room for lots of people coming on and saying hi and giving their opinion or their perspective on the election and what's going on and the results. Super excited today. AIBTC, I mentioned they came and talked to us last Monday. They have their championship sprint starting today. 100 contestants, each starting with $100 worth of STX, will be programming their AI agents to and deploy them to trade on their behalf. This runs from today through Friday. If you aren't registered, you can still participate by watching and learning about what's happening. Just a tremendous amount of the culmination of a ton of work with the launch of this project, and I'm really, really excited, super excited about AIBTC.dev. WoBuddy and Publius been cranking, and they've been hitting milestone after milestone and innovating, and I will be participating. I am registered. As soon as I get off of this and out of a couple meetings and some stuff I have to do, I will be programming my AI bots to go out and trade on my behalf, and hopefully I can figure out an algorithm that beats everybody else's trade strategy and win myself some $500 to go along with my earnings for the week as well. So stay tuned. We'll be covering that all week. As I mentioned, Nakamoto hard fork comes tomorrow. That's block 867867. We are less than 24 hours away. This is going to open up fast blocks for Stacks. So many projects have iterations of new features and new products to deliver on that they're just waiting for the fast blocks. So within the next couple of weeks after the launch of fast blocks tomorrow, we're going to see just an amazing number of things coming into the Stacks ecosystem. It's such an awesome time to be here. And I cannot wait. Tomorrow is celebration day. It's happening. It's going live. We're going to have fast blocks. They're already super fast on testnet chains. I cannot wait. It's going to happen. It's so great. And it can't happen soon enough because we are also getting SBTC probably before the end of the year, likely sometime mid to late December. We had Andre Serrano, the main dev behind SIP 028, which is the signer criteria, came on. If you didn't catch that, check that out. We broadcast live on Friday. That is available both on the DeOrganized channel, YouTube, X channel, and also my personal PeaceLoveMusic channel has that as well, and Bitcoin Live. You can catch that video. We had some great questions and answers and a lot of interesting conversation, but that is coming to a vote. Voting starts soon and it will last about 2 weeks. And you go to stx.eco. So stacks.eco. And that's where you vote on your SIPs. So get out there and vote and support the signer criteria SIP so we can get that established and then get SBTC launched by the end of the year so we can deploy native Bitcoin on Stacks and open up a tremendous amount of liquidity that is currently locked in Bitcoin. Also, some developments, and I got Haddy on. He's going to come on and chat with us a little bit more about this in a minute. But SIP10 token functionality coming to Gig Marketplace on Zero Authority DAO. If you go to zeroauthority.xyz, they also have a bunch of new bounties we'll talk about soon. But more tokens are being added daily. Now you can offer to pay gigs, not just bounties, but gigs in Rue, Leo, Welsh, Knot, and more are coming. So super excited about what's going on with Zero Authority DAO. What's up, Hero? Good morning, sir. And no, we're not really actually. We were a little bit delayed this morning. The show is not normally 9 a.m., although we're probably going to start going closer to 8:30 than 8. But we had a little bit of technical problems this morning. Thank you for your patience. And good morning, Haddy. How are you today, sir?
Hey. Welcome to the Let's Go morning show.
The Let's Go morning show. And I owe that title to Haddy. He's been trying to get me to go with it for a few weeks now. And I just keep forgetting because of all the other processes I'm in. But I think that's a great, we need to let's go, people. Let's go. It's a great time to be in this space. How are you today, Haddy?
I'm very good. And I'm really glad that you changed the name, because I think the energy that you bring to the space in the morning and you G everyone up, it's let's go. So you give everyone the news to go with for the morning. There's loads of interesting stuff that you've just gone through. Hero, I think, was referring to daylight savings, because obviously in Europe, we've gone on to daylight. We've come off daylight savings.
So that's right. So you guys are right. So there's an hour discrepancy between the US and Europe for the rest of this week. We set our clocks back.
The only discrepancy we have at the moment. There's nothing else.
Oh, well, there's plenty, perspective is a damn thing, right? But yeah, man. I mean, it's obviously, I'll say this. I find one of my favorite things about having gotten into this space and engaging with so many different projects and people is the exposure I get to people all over the world right now. I'm talking to people on every continent on at least a weekly basis, and that gives me a better understanding of what's going on in the world and how it's perceived globally. I know what people in Rhode Island think because I talk to people in Rhode Island all the time, and that's a general, New England, Northeast US, it's a very general, typical of the area because we have a lot of shared experiences. But I don't know what people in Europe are experiencing unless I'm chatting with them, and then talking with Nick, and we get the South African folks and the broader African folks and the Australian people and people in Asia all the time and different parts of Asia. It's I'm super happy about the opportunity to get to know people beyond my local geographic area. And I'll say we all have a lot more in common than we really do differ as humans. The human condition is what it is. We all got to eat. We all need to sleep. We need some shelter. And there are a lot of commonalities, and we all aspire for purpose too. That's part of it too. Yeah, we're all looking for meaningful experiences. And when you keep that in mind and you have an open-minded conversation, it tends to lead to having more commonalities and more finding common ground versus the things where we do differ, and the interests we have that maybe aren't aligned are things we can work around if we focus on where we have our commonalities. So I love that part of it.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of the show, is that now it's bringing together a global community rather than just a US-centric community or a EU or even a first world. If we want to talk about first world, which is now a bit, I think, redundant, but talking about first world, where everyone's focusing in on very specific places in the world rather than us looking at it globally, that we can all prosper. And that's, I think, what decentralization brings for us. And I think that's what Stacks is going to unleash for us with Bitcoin, that we can unleash these economies. We can start all interacting with each other on a global scale. And we come back to the central point of remembering that we all need to eat, we all need to pay bills, but we also need to remember that this is what binds us together, and this isn't divisive. This is not a wedge that pushes us away. Bitcoin, together with Stacks, is bringing everyone back together again. Let's start talking about the commonalities. What can we change? How can we change the world? What can we do better together rather than being pushed apart? And that's what this is so important about deorganized media, is it's not a divisive form of pushing people apart. Yes, you and I have opinions and other people have opinions, but this is about bringing everyone together and giving them what's coming up for the day.
Exactly. Absolutely. It's about making sure that everyone has an opportunity to understand what's going on, to be aware of the projects and the opportunities in the space, and have their own voice too. And it's about hopefully shaping a future global financial landscape where that is inclusive and not extractive.
Correct.
We're not looking to go and take advantage of people out of their desperation for having something to eat, so that we can maybe extract all of their resources that they haven't been able to develop because for X, Y, or Z reason, and then leaving them with less than they had before we came along. That's not a sustainable way to grow a global inclusive economy, and so that's why I'm here. I'm here to make sure that we are promoting opportunity for all and inclusiveness. And it's not going to be, we had this conversation, I think Saturday morning, you and I were chatting. It's not going to be an equality of outcome. We can't guarantee the same outcome for everybody, but everyone should have access to the tools to facilitate their own outcomes. They should have the opportunity to realize those outcomes if they can apply the tools the way everyone else gets to.
100%. We need to move to a place where we focus on equality of opportunity rather than equality of outcome. We can't all have the same outcome. We don't all start in the same place, but if we all have access to equal opportunity, we can make of that what we want. And I think that's the beauty of blockchain and decentralization, is it gives us an opportunity to build. And those are getting back to zero authority. That's something that zero authority is trying to build out, is trying to give people equal access to opportunities. And communities can now, like you said earlier, now communities can engage and unleash the culture in their communities. They can now help people with that. So we've got the bounties today. We got 7 bounties open on Zero Authority today. And I say we as in we as a community have it, because obviously it is also community driven, but we as in I'm the designated community manager at the moment. But yeah, we got there's some amazing ones on there.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. I didn't even realize there were this many new.
I'm so jealous.
It's so cool. And I wish, I love these things. I love making memes, and I love getting involved in these communities and helping out. And even just writing articles or creating threads. Unfortunately, I don't have as much time as I would like to be able to participate in these things, because I got so much going on with DeOrganized, and I mean, we're crushing it. I'm not complaining. But I love what you guys are, and I consider I'm not part of the team for Zero Authority, and there's not really a marketing agreement between us and Zero Authority. I say things are sponsored by Zero Authority partly because I think Zero Authority and the on-chain reputation and the gig marketplace, and then these bounty things and all the stuff that you guys are building out over there, and Zero and Hodl and everybody, is a huge value add to our ecosystem. So I am a huge supporter of, and I consider myself as part of the movement to promote zero authority, because I think it's a huge value add to our ecosystem. It's a necessary piece to being able to facilitate the broader economic access we're looking to see come out of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and on Stacks and outside of Stacks with other L2s and other, where I support Stacks, and I'm a huge fan of Stacks because I believe that Stacks is very well positioned. I believe that the people behind it and building Stacks are largely good actors, very, very intelligent. I believe that they're building it out the right way, but it's a decentralized landscape. So there are going to be multiple winners. And that's also super exciting, because that means that there's not only one opportunity, there's different places people are going to be able to go to access these opportunities. So I can't say enough good things about Zero Authority DAO. The bounties, now the gig marketplace is starting to open up other SIP10 tokens. Eventually it'll be probably just about any SIP token that you can trade on the major exchanges like Velar or Alex or through Bitflow, will be available to offer as payment for gigs, offer up for bounties. And then there's also the project you guys have with Stacks Africa bounties. We're offering opportunities for people that are onboarding Freddie's project, where he's onboarding users in the African space and providing them just, how to start a Bitcoin wallet and how to do this. And now there's bounty opportunities for them as well, a specific Stacks Africa bounties where you can offer them a little bit of stacks for learning how to use certain things and just getting more people involved and into the ecosystem, so that they can actually, then they learn how to use it, they see the value in it, and then they spread it across to everybody else.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I was privileged enough and I did want to get together with Zero Authority was this is building a platform that allows people opportunity. It allows people from other places to have an opportunity to get on the ladder, an opportunity to earn. And we are moving to a gig economy whereby people will be able to do multiple jobs and also access a global market. At the moment, when you sit in Africa, for instance, if we focus on what Freddie's doing, if you sit in Africa, it's very difficult to get into the market sometimes. The other side of it as well is we have bad actors in the space. We've all experienced bad actors in the space. And what Zero Authority saw was another opportunity to say, hey, can we create an opportunity for people to earn and build reputation at the same time? So can you build reputation while you're doing a good job? How can we identify people who are doing an excellent job? How can they get even more opportunity because they're doing a good job? So it sort of all of this dovetails into it, and then opening up what we call community pages or global pages for communities. They can then have their own access to onboard more people in the way that they would want to build it. So the platform becomes very malleable and flexible depending on what communities are looking for. Bearing in mind, we're still in V1 or V.5, but 1.5, but we are getting to 2. And once version 2 comes out, it's going to be rocket fuel, and it's going to be on the back of fast blocks, which again is going to make it so much easier to use.
Right now it takes 10 to 30 minutes to post a gig, and just to even have it on there, and for the person that you're posting it to possibly be able to see it. And there's other things. And I know you guys have been working with Rocky and the Block for some of your visual, the UX side of it. I've seen some sneak peeks. It looks awesome. I cannot wait. Actually, I recently set up I've had a Zero Authority account for my own handle for a while, but I just recently opened up one for the DeOrganized media wallet and profile, and so that we can start offering some gigs on there for things that we're looking to have done. and I can't see a better way to do that, as far as we have a budget for a gig. We can look at who's out there, what they have for what they've done in the past. They have some reputation. And I mean, obviously early on, we're still building that out too. Everyone's working to build their reputation, but we can offer a gig. We can offer how much we want to pay. They accept the gig. There's the terms as far as there's even, you have a milestone piece on there now where you can set certain parameters they have to meet to get, and they get paid a certain amount if they hit certain goals. And then it gives us reputation as an entity that's worth that hires and is trustworthy in our hiring, and them, whoever we contract with gets reputation as far as they've done this gig, they've completed it, and then now the next person that comes along looking for that kind of work has more reassurance and more trust in hiring them, because it's verifiable. It's not, you have trust because it's verifiable. You're not just blindly trusting that this person isn't going to take your funds and not complete the job. Actually, they can't.
This is the crux of the problem is, can you build reputation so people can trust, so people can understand that they're dealing with the person that they actually think? And it's also pseudo-anonymous as well, which gives people who are in the space who still want to be anonymous. So they can still do work and build reputation on that profile, let's call it. But the biggest thing as well is, I want to tail back into the SIP28. Once we unlock SBTC, not only are we unlocking Bitcoin on our layer, we're also going to unlock untold talent. And that's the beauty of Zero Authority, is that we unlock all of this talent that is hiding all over the world that can't access. So all of our brothers and sisters sitting in Africa now have this opportunity. And not only an opportunity just for stacks and the coins that are on there, but now once SBTC comes, they now have an opportunity to earn in Bitcoin. And that is, people who live in Africa can tell you the rate of inflation. We think it's bad in Europe. We think it's bad in the US and in the Western world. It's rampant in Africa. There's no way for them to hold value. And once we can give them access and open this up, so Zero Authority is one layer, and then we talk about the SIP28. Once that comes through and the signers, and we have SBTC, they can now hold it in something that's number go up, is the way that everyone says it, but it holds its value.
And people don't even realize this isn't just about that hyperinflation problem isn't just about people saving. It's also about, if you're trying to start a business and you take out a business loan, the money you're borrowing is rapidly losing value before you can actually deploy it and spend it. And now, and then the cost of the things it's an impossible situation right now.
Well, it's you have gamification when you're talking about as Michael Saylor likes to put it, although he's had a bit of bad press at the moment, an asymmetrical asset. You can play the game on fiat. So fiat, you need ever more fiat to pay off your bill, but essentially because of hyperinflation, it's actually your debt is costing you less over time, which is the play he's making. Your debt costs less over time because of inflation, and this asset keeps going up in price, which means you could almost get to a point where you in a cycle of constantly, it's worth more at the end of the debt, you pay it off, and you keep rolling your loans, which is potentially what Michael Saylor is going to do.
Right. Well, that's kind of what that's how the wealthy do it now. They don't actually live off of income. Well, they live off of income from their assets. Their assets generate yield.
Correct.
And so they can borrow against those yield generating assets and then pay the debt service with the yield that they're receiving, and then refinance as the asset appreciates, and just constantly do that. And that you're not paying income taxes the same on that, because you're not paying income tax on money you borrowed into existence. And then you have way more leverage to be able to also deploy anything that you do borrow against as you see fit. So but I think we have a short window here. I don't think that this is a long-term. I don't think there's a lot of time left for people to start accumulating. I think you got one cycle, maybe, this cycle, the downturn after this cycle, and then after that, it's going to be unreachable for most people to actually accumulate like the opportunity is now.
I think you're right. If I'm earning a salary and I'm buying Bitcoin, then yes, maybe your opportunities diminishing over time to stack as many sats because the price will go up over time. But it's what everyone says. You get Bitcoin at the price that you choose.
Right.
And if you don't choose now, you'll choose later and you get it at that price. So for us, we know that even if we buy today, we know that in 5 years' time, it's still cheap.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, right. So we can see that. And that's another reason for me seeing the opportunity with Zero Authority and wanting to push this, and especially for the rest of the world, is that people earning in this is where we want to go to. We want to go to an opportunity where you can earn in something like Bitcoin, because I think we need to build an economy around it. And the economy on layer 1 is a bit difficult, but on layer 2 is much easier for us to build an economy around Bitcoin, where we can onboard people into the ecosystem. And then off that, you can build lots of different economies. So I could see a future where you have a Welsh economy and you have a Roo economy, and you have these different economies which are built around a culture. So they become more valuable over time.
What's coming for Roo is bananas right now. I don't know if people are aware, but they have an agreement with Hermeticify to have a trade pair for the Roo runes and the USDH, and then there's going to be the SIP10 USD Roo pair on Velar. What Jack and Ian are doing over there is just absolutely bananas innovative. I'm just happy to have been able to be there and watch and see what's going on ahead of time, because it's just it's amazing. But yeah, you're right. There's going to be these little community economies. I say little, but these little relative to the whole ecosystem. But they're almost going to be like little distributed states of their own, and it's I guess we really don't know how it's going to shape out. It'll depend on, there's a number of other factors. AI isn't directly tied to crypto. AI doesn't need crypto necessarily, although I actually think it does. I think it needs blockchain to get mass adopted in order to have the proper auditability of what the AI is thinking. And for companies to deploy it, they need to be able to monitor what the AI is thinking. I don't think you can do that without blockchain. But AI is going to change the landscape as well. It's going to be, so if I have Bitcoin, but I don't have access to an AI agent to help me deploy it in the most effective and efficient way, and or to protect me from bad actors, I have a huge disadvantage versus somebody that has Bitcoin and those tools. So that's another piece of the puzzle. That is another piece of the puzzle, is how we get that, how we make sure that access is also afforded to as many people as possible before it becomes siloed and siphoned.
I think we're on the precipice of something with AI. So we're in that S curve now. We've got a whole bunch of S curves together, but we're in an S curve with AI at the moment. And I know there's a lot of hype around, a lot of people saying we need it. I think AI is amazing, but if you don't understand the fundamentals of society and finance, AI is not really going to help you. So I think it's a tool in your tool belt, but I think there are other things you need to also have in order to fully deploy the capabilities of AI.
Right.
And I think we're at a point at which we are approaching the horizon at such speed. There's the velocity at which we're reaching the time horizon perpetually, makes it very difficult to predict what comes next. I think there's a lot of steering in the marketplace. So when we say we need AI, everyone's on AI, we need equal access, we need, we haven't taken the time to sit down and actually say, we as in everyone, like you and I, let's say just you and I, we haven't taken the time out to strategize and to think, what does this mean for me? Where is this going to help me? People are building these amazing tools, but we're constantly in the cycle of not stopping to say, is this a good thing? Does this help me? Where can I put this embed this into my life that I profit from it? We're in the same cycle as social media where everyone's jumping on top of it. Like we now podcasts. Wow, I must have a podcast. I must have a Twitter. I must have an X profile. I must have an Instagram. I must, without thinking about where's the value add to me personally, where's the value add to society. And I think we need to be careful that people aren't making us all racehorses and we're all blinkered and we're all running in the direction that they're telling us to go in.
That's a great point. That is a great point, because it is, as soon as you start playing around with the AI tools too, you start discovering things so rapidly where whatever you set out, whatever the purpose of when you first started, like what you were trying to use it for, you almost never actually complete that process, because you're like, you start discovering, oh my God, I can do this. Oh my God, I can do this. Oh my, and then you don't actually get the opportunity to really put them all together and make them functional, because it's just this constant, very rapid iteration of understanding. Or at least that's my experience. Same thing. Like there's so many things happening so rapidly in the tech world. A lot of it is AI, even if it just LLM, large language model driven, the capacity for people to produce has increased. The rapidity, the speed with which people can produce things now is like nothing we've ever seen. So it's really, really challenging to keep up on everything, because it's, we have a unique experience because we're trying to cover all that's developing in this space on a daily basis. And it seems like we can't keep up with the developments on a daily basis right now.
Well, that's a discussion you and we've had offline before. Was, for me personally, I look at AI as an opportunity. For me, I would like to build my own. So I'm not interested in necessarily using OpenAI, because I see OpenAI as just Facebook like on steroids. Right. It's literally just using. So let's step back a bit. So first we'll start AI. There is no actual artificial intelligence available to us now.
Right. It's not actually AI. It's not general intelligence, artificial general intelligence.
There's intelligence, but it's not the way we perceive it at the moment. So a better way to look at it is to say it's an algorithmic assistant, because we are still the 0 to 1. So without input prompt, nothing starts without us, and it gets to a point where it stops, and then it's waiting again for us to initiate. So do the 0 to 1 to start the process. Right. So AI is a wonderful tool to get from 1 up, to accelerate from 1, but 0 to 1 still requires you to think about, how do I prompt? How am I going to, because this phrase in front of this phrase will give me a different output. So it'll change how it'll view it. So getting back to, I think it's important that people start understanding how it works. We need better tools that people can actually work seamlessly and build their own AIs. And I think the volume of content you're talking about is, the AI for me would be to siphon out the noise for me. So I think what we're doing is we've got first layer of the internet, not a lot of noise, because we still had traditional media outlets. Then we got to web 2. Now we have social media, and now it's just so noisy. And now all we've done is we've now thrown a bit of fuel on the fire and said, here's AI. Now you can just spit out as much as you want in whatever content you want, and it's just perpetual. And we as humans are not evolved to get to that point to go, what's noise and what's not noise? What do I need to focus on? What do I not need to focus on? And this is also what we were talking about, is potential where people have a problems to focus in on something, and especially the youth, to focus in on one thing and focus only on that thing. So we have this attention problem where we keep, it's triggering the amygdala to say, is this a fear? Is this good, bad? I think we spoke about it. Red, green. Like, is it red or green? Is it good or bad? I don't know.
Right. We don't know. And the information is coming so fast that you can't actually even absorb it before the next information is coming.
Yeah, but the AI, the thing that people haven't yet realized is that the AI is only as good as the information that goes in, number one. So who identifies that? Number two, because we create and we prompt, we're training. So they don't realize that we're all training these AIs at the same time. So all this content we put out, we alter and we put out, it sucks it back in and starts the cycle again. So without us feeding these things, the algorithmic assistants, they don't grow.
Right. Well, so I know OpenAI is basically just giving anything you're doing on OpenAI, you're basically giving all of that stuff to Microsoft. It's not open. It's not an open source. So that's a misnomer too. It's not an open source system. And it is censored. It will not, there are certain things that there are political talking points that it will tell you you're wrong, even if you're right. And to get it to function, like, you can't just, it's not Google. Like, people think that the AI is Google and you can ask it questions and it'll respond to you like it knows the answer sometimes, whether it does or not. You have to train it. So when I use OpenAI, like if I'm writing an article, right, I will absolutely use OpenAI, but I will take, all of the information about whatever I'm writing that article on. Like if I'm writing an article on Zero Authority DAO, I'm going to go and get the Zero Authority DAO docs that are public and available on the website. And I'm going to load that into that chat with OpenAI to make and train it on that data. And I'm going to give it, when I query, I'm not just asking a question, I'm telling it, I'm writing an article on this. These are the concepts I want to touch on in the article. Give me, and I'll just be like, give me like 5 good reasons to use that. What can I use this project for? And then it'll take that data, and but you really got to train it. You can't, it's not Google. It's not pulling from, you don't have access to use it where it's pulling from all of the data that it has. OpenAI has a ton of data, but you don't get that on the user end. You have to tell it.
Yeah, this is what people haven't yet understood from the algorithmic assistance side, is we have all these models. So LLMs. OpenAI is very general, and you can get ones that are very specific. And then what you're talking about, the training aspect of it, is that you can actually take an open source model, even a really small, lightweight model, because again, there's varying degrees of size of the model. And the larger the model, the more information, maybe potentially the better it is, maybe not. Maybe a smaller model trained on just what you want it will actually give you a better output, which has been proved time and time again, where there's these really lightweight models, and those you can run. I mean, it's come to the point at which NVIDIA is working on, is it not NVIDIA? The other one, there's a chip maker. I can't think of their name now.
Hong Kong, a semiconductor.
They do the chips for all the mobile phones. Anyway, they are in the process of creating where you can run it on. I think I sent it to you already in our chat. You can run it now for the AI talk last night. I sent it to you. They're looking that you can run it on your mobile phone now. So we're getting to the point where the model can run on the phone. So we're getting to that point where it'll run on device. Which then builds in the layers of security. Then we get to the point of, thank you, Hira.
Taiwan Semiconductor.
Yeah. So we're getting to the point at which it's on the phone. And that gives us incredible security. And then when you layer that on top of, we now have blockchain as well. Incredible.
Yeah. So the other piece to this that we need to solve, we have blockchain technology that helps get self-ownership, self-custody of your assets and the value you create. Also, you have AI and or large language models that will eventually be AI, and training. The more sophisticated that becomes, that's going to allow automation of a number of daily life processes and functions that just massively quantify our individual productivity. The third piece to this, and Jack was talking about this yesterday, and a few weeks ago we had a conversation about it, is cheap energy. That's the third leg of this, is that everyone needs access to consistent and low cost energy. And if we can solve that, low cost, consistent energy access, functional automation and sound money and the capacity to control our own value and our own assets, self-custody. I think we'll have a massive global golden age for humanity if we can if we can just put these three things together. And I think we're getting there. I think that there are, I know a lot of people are anti petroleum and burning fossil fuels for energy, but it's actually a cheap, abundant source of energy right now, and some energy use versus access to cheap, abundant energy is the fastest way to raise communities out of poverty. If there's a huge barrier to access to energy, like I know people in Africa right now where they only have access to energy after a certain amount of like late night. They don't have access to power. They have to get a solar charger. They charge a battery, and then they use that to charge their phones, which they access the internet on. But they don't have access to internet or power to run their more powerful PCs, their productivity machines, until late at night when the power grid is less in use by any industry around. That's 100 years ago technology. We've had the capacity to do better than that for 100 years. So we need to be able to build these out. We need to reach more people with these. Energy is an issue. Now, I don't know what the they keep teasing us with possibly getting fusion, or maybe that we can do more with nuclear power. I think it takes all forms, right? We should absolutely look into the more green energy we can do, the better. And we also want to make sure that we're doing as much as we can to make sure that the carbon sourced energy is used as cleanly as possible. But I don't think right now the move to, we just had $41 billion of money misappropriated for quote unquote green funds. It's a scam. It's not real. They're not actually trying to promote green energy. They're trying to monopolize and manipulate the energy markets to profit, so it's an issue. I do think that we can get past these things. And obviously we can only work on one problem at a time. I think blockchain's here, that rail, and it's obviously we're still building it out, but I am very confident that with things like communities like what's going on in Stacks and Bitcoin and the ethos, open source, decentralized, collaborative efforts, censorship resistant, self-custody, those are all built in to the model. So I'm confident that it's just a matter of when, not if. We're getting there with that rail. AI and energy are less certain. They can happen. They can happen in a benevolent way, but I'm not sure that it will. I am not sure that AI is going to be, well, like you said earlier, when the internet first came out, there wasn't a lot, there was a lot of, it was unclear what you could use it for. It wasn't all built up. It had to be built. But as a communications capacity, it was wide open. And as a access to information capacity, it was wide open. You could actually now, all of a sudden, you could share information instantaneously with people around the world. And it was a beautiful thing. It was a great, the Bitcoin culture is the same culture as what we saw build out the internet. It's the same open source. We want this access to everybody. And it got controlled and siloed and by media. Social media took it over. They made it very hard to interact with other social media platforms. It became less open and less open. And I think we're going to see that also with AI. I think that the people that are building it out, obviously people want to make money. That's the motivating factor for why you do most things, is so that you can get, money is stored energy. That's really, money is stored energy. So we need better money so that we can use the energy that's stored up more efficiently and effectively. But we also need more open access to technology, like AI and like cheap, abundant energy and access to it. Those are the things that I think we need to focus on as a society more than anything else.
Yeah, well, I think we have all of those. The issue we have is AI, like when Bitcoin first came out, was very difficult. So I tell the story all the time. I was offered, I think it was like 10 or 100 Bitcoin, and I was like, set up this miner and do all this stuff, and you install these programs on your computer, and I'm like, to me, it sounded like a scam and like viruses. Like, why would I run this thing and leave my computer running? And like, no, it's like an open network and people all like, it's communicate. I'm like, I don't know about this. Like, I'm grand you're going to give this to me, but what's the value add? There's no incentive. It's not necessarily incentive. It's that the story wasn't told, and you couldn't see, like the beginning of the internet, you couldn't see the value that would eventually come up because the storytellers hadn't arrived yet. So that's one aspect. Is what is the incentive? What's incentivizing us? We have the wrong incentive models at the moment. So green energy, we're incentivized not to be green in the way would be logically green. We're told the story, but it's not actually green. So right. Small things are like, we haven't even touched on as people don't know that you can create a circular green economy. So that's what we haven't touched on, is that we're all focused on carbon, but carbon isn't as bad as methane. Methane is 50 times more potent. So when you take a straw from plastic, which takes, 100 years to break down, it's not ideal, but we take a paper straw is broken down and turns into methane. So now we have something that's 50 times more potent going into the atmosphere. Yes, it's there for 20 years and not 100 years, 50 to 100 years, but we have something that's far more potent over a shorter amount of time, which is crazy when we think about these things. And then you think methane is a fuel, a fossil, like a fuel that we can actually use to power. It's a gas. So we clean it and we can use it. And they do literally run engines off this to create electricity.
Right.
This is where Bitcoin comes in, is that we have opportunity for clean energy, and we can create a cycle where we can reuse it. We can also create through the sun, together with hydrogen, we can create more fuels. So we can actually take the carbon, add some hydrogen to it, and we can create another fuel source. So we create a closed loop where we just need hydrogen. Hydrogen is water. So we can use water to break the water, to take the hydrogen, to add the carbon to it, to then create a hydrocarbon. There are opportunities for these. Bitcoin, on the other hand, what people haven't seen yet And what isn't spoken about enough is this is going to unlock energy that's stuck. So this gives people an opportunity in communities to create a way to earn money. They can unlock the natural resources they have on site that would otherwise be going to waste. So could you run hydro? Could you run gas? Is there loads of sunlight? How can we unleash all this human capital? And on top of that, how can we unleash all of this power that's locked everywhere? And when we look at countries that are not Western Hemisphere, the US is super lucky. They still have loads of resources. Australia has loads of natural resources. And then there are other countries. Africa has untold natural resources that they could utilize, but they're just in places and it's not incentivized yet for them to use those. So we talk about fusion, we talk about nuclear, but we have a lot of these old 100, 200-year-old technologies that we could unleash and create a circular green economy with Bitcoin fueling an economic uplift of places, rather than looking at what we do today, where we just crush people's currencies. We come in and we take whatever we want at a really cheap price. So let's crash the market and take what we want, which is what it's been. It's colonialism.
Right.
But in a business term.
Right. Yeah, it's economic hitmen going around and establishing. I don't know if you're familiar with John Perkins' book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. But he talked about decades ago how he was hired. Basically, his job was to go around to the various countries and make deals where, you guys need a port. You guys would recognize all this tremendous amount of economic generative activity if we just built this port. We're going to go, and the World Economic Forum and the World Bank and the IMF and all of them would go and they'd make these loans to these countries, and the loans, we'll give you these subsidized loans, and and all you have to do is put up these resources as collateral, and then make it so that they couldn't possibly pay back the loans. So now we have this port we created with this railway we created that we financed with the resources that now we're going to extract to cover the costs of the loan that we made to put all this infrastructure so that we could exploit these resources. And over and over and over again for the last century, that's what they've been doing around the globe. I don't see those guys just kind of stepping back and allowing a new paradigm to thrive.
It can thrive. I think it starts with us as citizens of countries saying, like Norway's done, we're going to take our natural resources and we're going to say it's owned by the people. So every time there's something comes up, we go to referendum. We, the people, decide what we would like to do with our natural resource, because those impact not just our generation. We're talking about 10 generations ahead. Whatever we do today with our natural resources affect 10 generations ahead. But the problem we have today is that people are too short-sighted. And we think about, and it's almost as if by design it is the way it is, that we live in this short cycle. We don't think we haven't got enough time because there's too much noise. B, we're fighting the rat race to keep our heads above water, to pay the bills, to feed, to put food on the table, that we don't have time to think about these things. We don't have an opportunity to get to these points. And then we're easily like sheep or cattle herded, or racehorses racing down this track, and we can only see what the prize that's in front of us. That's it. We're just chasing, or like a greyhound. We're just chasing that fake rabbit down the track. That's what we're doing.
We're just trying to get that grade still. We're just trying to get the pat on the head and the approval from the authority figure to some degree.
Some people, yes. Some people.
Well, it's the same thing. You're taught to chase. You're taught to chase. I want the big house. I want the nice car. I want all of these possessions. And I need the income to facilitate these things. And by getting those things, I get the satisfaction of feeling like I have society's approval because society's constantly telling me to do that. You know what? Actually, Zenatron just let us know that Bitcoin setting sail to become the new gold. Yes, but
So
he's also
no pun in that, obviously.
What's that?
There's no pun in there. Sailor. There's no pun.
Oh well, I think it's just a pirate pun, but it's a skull coin pun. But maybe it's a sailor pun too. I love Skullcoin. I love what Zenatron's building. I actually think it's next level stuff. I can't wait to see where it iterates. We're actually running up. It's 8 minutes before the start of their play to earn show, so I don't want to go too long.
Oh, okay. That's why he was hinting. Okay, so
I don't think he was hinting necessarily. I think he was enjoying the conversation, but to be respectful.
Let me jump in. So where we go from here is that Bitcoin and all these chains are representative of new economic systems. And I think that's where one of the things we're going to talk about today was that we have the BRICS have just had their meeting this week. So we can see maybe not beneficial to the US or to Europe, but we can definitely see that there are countries coming together and having discussions about how can we have a different economic system and how can we unleash our economic energies into the marketplace, where it's very difficult to do it when you're sitting underneath, where people are controlling the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that really is.
South Africa's in there. Sorry, BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
And I think there are a handful of other countries now too that are part of that.
Yeah,
or becoming part of it. And listen, correct. I think competition's a good thing. I'm a proponent of decentralization. Obviously, I'm an American citizen. I am a patriot. I'm loyal to my country as well. I love it here, and I love the ethos of the American model, like what it's supposed to mean: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Representative democracy, Republican, not Republican Party, but a Republican form of government where is actually a precursor to decentralization. The idea that you would have a federal model with distributed governance throughout the states, and the states have their own little method of autonomy, is right-minded. I do think that competition is good, though. I do think that there are. I think that the development of the BRICS phenomenon is a good step to making sure that the dollar, the hegemony of the dollar, isn't as destructive, and it doesn't have the same capacity to abuse other countries and other nations and poor people that don't have it's right now the dollar hegemony is used as a weapon across the globe, and I don't think that that's good for the United States either. I don't think it's good for the American people in the most part, and how it's done. But I don't think the US dollar is going away. I think dollar stable coins are actually going to create further dollar hegemony, at least in the short term, which is not a bad thing. But I do think that alternative currencies, both national and or trade zone currencies like the BRICS, what they're working on there with their basket of currencies or basket of assets to base their currency on, the value, peg their value. I think Bitcoin makes that almost unnecessary, though. I think that cryptocurrencies are a viable way forward. And like we talked about, or like I mentioned, with the loss of $41 billion for in green funds from the World Bank, that doesn't happen with Bitcoin. everybody can monitor and audit what's going on with those funds. Now, I can appreciate where some financial institutions wouldn't feel necessarily comfortable with their books being auditable by the public. But that's probably the only way to really make sure everything's on the up and up, right? That's the only way.
You can't have your cake and eat it, is what we're talking about, Peace. If the government wants to have privacy in their transactions, then we should be entitled to privacy in our transactions. It shouldn't be a one-way street. It shouldn't be what's good for you, for thee, is not good for me. It shouldn't be that way. It should be, we need a level of privacy for national security. Well, hey, I need a level of private, like, security for my own personal security. So I should have the opportunity to be able to have security on my financial life. And you shouldn't be able to pry and poke unless there's due course. Like, there's a reason why you need to look at me. So I think there's one quick thing on talking about AI and talking about blockchain is these are precursors to us becoming a multi-planetary species. We need these for to be a multi-planetary species. And we also need, when we go back to BRICS and the US dollar, we need to, everything is a bridge. And we need tension on both sides of that bridge. So if the US dollar and the US have full control of the entire planet, who is the counterpart to hold them? Because you even have it in your constitution at the moment. You have the Democratic Party and you have the Republicans, and they hold both sides of the bridge up. They hold each other accountable.
And the division and the separation of branches of government. The judiciary is a check against the legislature and the executive, and the executive is so there's these checks and balances, and then the states are a check against the federal government. There's supposed to be checks and balances in the system. And
this is what part of the BRICS is about. Part of the BRICS is about, can we have checks and balances and not full control of one currency controlling everything that can just be turned off tomorrow, which happened with Russia. The US sent a message to the entire world: we can turn off your US dollars. We can just hit delete in our database, and that's it. And we turn you off out of the SWIFT system, and you no longer have access to global markets. Which then the rest of the world said, hey, this is a problem. And I think BRICS has been happening long before what happened in Russia.
Oh yeah, BRICS is like 20 years.
Yeah, so BRICS, they've had the vision long before to say, hey, there's a problem in the marketplace where there's one incumbent that could derail everything. And the problem with that is that we need the tension in the bridge. So this shouldn't be a negative to everybody and say, oh, Russia's trying to rule the world and China. We need tension. And it's good. Like you said, competition is good. This is good for the US people. This is really, really good, because what this does is it creates innovation. We have this competitor, a near peer. We have lots of these near peer competitors. How do we compete now? And then it takes you and I to sit down and go, actually, we can build this. We can build this. Oh, Zero Authority is building this out. Oh, we can do this. Oh, I needed to drop a hint, I think, because the intern was telling me earlier something about moist and fresh. So I had to drop that at the end.
Oh, I heard that. I did hear that. Is it just bounties? I think for now, moist and fresh are going to be very soon. I think someone's just got to get you guys some thumbnail images, and you guys will be able to launch moist and fresh. You will be able to offer bounties for moist and fresh tokens.
Yeah, so I wanted to drop a bit of alpha there that a little bird intern had told me that apparently moist and fresh will be battling it out for the bounties soon. So we'll be having some fun.
I believe that's going to happen. I mean, I can't see. So if you
think we need an election type of thing happening here, like best.
Here's the thing. I'm all for proof of work, but it starts with fresh socks. You can't have moist socks if you didn't, or you had to have fresh socks to moisten. So
yeah, it always starts fresh. Moist is always second place.
Moist is proof of work. After you moist is proof of work. The moist sock is the proof of work. When your socks got moist, something made them moist. That's the proof of work. But then once you've moistened those socks, you got to freshen them again. You got to get fresh socks again, or you can't continue to prove your work.
tension, the
That's
bridge.
That's true. I think that's a great note to end on. To Haddy, thank you so much. Hero is right. You are, and I knew already, but Hero said he didn't know you were quite the big brain that you are. Haddy's very well versed on a number of subjects and does a lot of great thinking. Always a pleasure, my man. You have a great day. We'll continue chatting in a little bit. I love what's going on with Zero Authority, and I love. Thank you for joining me on Monday. We'll have to keep doing it. It seems like a good process we have here for Mondays.
Thank you for having me on, and
let's go Monday.
Let's go Monday, and let's go morning show. I'm enjoying.
Let's go morning show. Thank you so much again, Haddy, for coming out. You have a great rest of your week. We'll talk soon. Everybody else, thanks for listening. We have a great community here. Good morning, GPSC, getting in before the lock.
Always at the last minute.
He's so heads down right now, man. He's got so many things. We didn't mention Tremp Mint coming out next week as well. I think that's Monday. They go live for the Tremp NFT mint. I have a bunch of whitelists myself, so I will be minting several of those. And y'all have a blessed day. I am PeaceLoveMusic. We are DeOrganized Media, coming at you in partnership with Bitcoin Live. You guys have an awesome week.